today we are at the final episode of GS2 Social Justice. So this is the 8th episode. So here we will be learning about current affairs. Okay. So if you haven't watched the previous 7 episodes, I would recommend you to watch that and then come here, because it will be a complete summary, or it will be rather a value addition episode, so that you can boost your mains preparation. So before starting our lecture, I would have a small announcement. Please to have a look at all the playlists which are available in this channel, and these are specifically designed for UPSC, and these are part of our paid courses. But if the response is good here, we will be considering putting it fully for free. So what you have to do is, please do subscribe and leave a feedback comment under every video. Also, if you are looking for a good quality test series, then you can contact this number given on the screen, Vysh IAS WhatsApp. This is a good quality test series and the number is 7200681765. So without further delay, let's move on to the lecture. Okay, so here, as I have said, we will be dealing with current affairs and value addition. So this will be a mix. Okay, so I'll be giving certain facts and figures and also certain other points which you can use in mains answer writing. So only if you watch the previous 7 episodes, only then you will understand this, or you can learn how to link the portions. Okay, so let's move on to the portion. So first is, here recently Supreme Court, it has said that the value of a woman's work at home, okay, so the job of a homemaker, it should be placed at par with her office going husband. So this is one important declaration or important acknowledgement from the part of the apex court. So one tip I would give to answer writing is that if you're using validation for the data, okay, so if you are using a data, see these question, all these statements, okay, so in suggestion part or in concerns part, everybody or the 90% of the candidates, they will be writing this point: the value of a woman's work at home, it is not accountable in economy, it is not accounted, it is not remunerative. Okay, so apart from that, if you adding a point that Supreme Court has taught like this, then your answer is going to stand out of the crowd. So this is one point or one tip by which you can boost your marks. So you can use the simple word. By one word itself, you are boosting your marks. So that is one part. Then in the suggestion part, in the same portion, in the suggestion part, what you can use: recognize this unpaid work in national database, so that it becomes recorded and recognized. Okay, so next is with respect to the transgenders. Okay, we have learnt. So you have to, while watching this video, you have to make a link also where you can apply. So this portion you can apply in the chapter schemes for vulnerable section that was dealt in the very first video. So there we have dealt with the problem specific to women. There you can add this. Okay, so whatever I have covered there, that won't be repeated here. What your job is to substantiate your preparation with extra points like this. So next is coming to the second point. So Spanish government, okay, it has done a landmark step, that it has approved the first draft of a bill. So this bill, what is special about this bill? So it is relating to transgenders. So it is allowing anyone over the age of 14 to legally change gender without a medical diagnosis or hormone therapy. So it is right to live with dignity. Even you can link with Article 21. Okay, so this is right to live with dignity, and it is actually a polity kind of thing also. In governance also you can use the same point. While a question is coming with regard to the transgender welfare also, you can use this. Okay, so and another thing, when you can use this is in suggestion part, in the best practices from the world. There also you can use India should adopt such types of model. Okay, then there is a keyword called self-identification with respect to the transgenders. So here in self-identification, it is anyone allowed to legally identify with the gender of their choice. So this word choice is important. Okay, if the social perceptions are not important, the bodily autonomy is important. So a person's gender is one's choice, and we have discussed the difference between gender and sex in the previous videos. So please go and watch if you are not aware of that. Okay, so I'll not be repeating it again. So here what is important is only 15 countries is having this provision. So when world is moving towards globalization and equality, only 15 countries all over the world is having this self-identification framework also. Okay, so this is one point. Then next is the need for caste-based census. Okay, so this caste-based census, it has been debatable in the recent time. So we'll be learning some points against the caste-based caste census and also pro supporting the caste census. So if you are ready with some both sides, like supporting arguments 2 or 3 you have to learn and opposing arguments 2 or 3 you have to learn. So if a question comes, you can write it holistically. So first, need will be telling. Okay, what is the need? So we can see that there is a change in demography. Population pattern is getting changed. So now, for instance, we are having young population at a very high percentage. So with time, this demography is getting changed. So reservations also need to get changed. Okay, so it is a exercise of updation. Only then we can target the welfare scheme. This also we have discussed in earlier episode. What is the importance of proper targeting? That is showing. So there you can add this point, need for caste census. It is dealing with the precise and optimum problem targeting. Okay, so here one fact is there, the entitlement to OBC, it is still based on the population estimate of 1931. Now we are standing at 2021 and we are looking at the estimates of 1931 and making entitlement to OBC. So that is not a good exercise. We need updation. Okay, that is one need of caste census. Then next is bring objectivity to the reservation demand. Okay, so scientific evidence is needed. Whenever we have to bring a scientific cause for the reservation demand, we have to get some scientific based evidence. So in that aspect, caste based census is a good exercise, so that we can properly identify, not out of the mouth publicity. Okay, we are going to a person and that person is telling that I am from backward caste. So that is not enough. We have to have a proper kind of documentation. Only then we can give this reservations. Okay, so this is objectivity, bringing objectivity. Then next is, although many people are protesting, it is because of the shrinking job opportunities only. So in private sector, many job opportunities, it is getting shrinked, or many opportunities are getting down. So due to that only, many protests are taking place against the caste based census. Okay, so people are thinking that if in caste census, so if caste census is carried out, then there will be proper problem targeting, then more people will be coming under reservation. So the opportunities is getting reduced. So that is why many protests are taking place. That is argument supporting the caste census. So now we have to learn some points which is opposing the caste census. So here one word is important. Caste is an amorphous category. So why amorphous category? See, India is a diverse country now. So here we can take a caste A. So in state A, it will be maybe it can be a backward class. But while moving on to a state B, it can be a general caste. While moving on to a state C, it can be a scheduled caste. So it is not similar or it is not uniform. So caste census will be avoid exercise. That is the opposition stand. And then next point is, it is actually breeding casteism in the country. Already we are having socio-cultural differences. So added to that, if we are conducting a caste census, it is going to be feed the casteism tendencies. Okay. Then next, it may help in vote bank politics. That is not crucial for a democracy. That is not needed for a democracy. And you can use this word as it is. There will be caste based political mobilization happening in the country. So these political leaders, they will be going and asking votes in the name of caste. Okay, so that is one dividing tendency. Then next is a best practice from India only. Kerala, it has adopted or a draft legislation to deal with increasing practices of discrimination in the society. Okay, so this also you can link with caste discrimination. So it is a pilot model which you can quote as a best practices within India only. Then next portion is with respect to a word called silver economy. So we have dealt with the schemes for vulnerable sections. There we have dealt with the problems of elderly. So whenever there is a question relating to elderly, you can use this word. This is silver economy and it is relating to the welfare of elderly. So it is defined as the system of production, distribution and consumption of goods and services which are aimed at utilizing the purchasing potential of older and aging population. Okay, so you have to increase the purchasing potential. So this is a good move. they are getting self-sufficiency, they are being aided. Okay, so this is relating to elderly population. Then next portion is the live-in relations. So why there is an increasing trend of live-in relations in India? So we are having many reasons, we'll be taking it one by one. So why living relations are getting more? Because we are now having access to modern education and modern ideals. So people started to embrace values like freedom, equality, bodily autonomy, individuality, etc. See, these words you have to use as such it is. Okay, so that is one factor. Then next is patriarchy in institutionalized marriages. Institutionalized marriages means the conventional marriages which are taking place in India in accordance with the family rituals and religious rituals. So there patriarchy is a prominent part. But many women are wishing to come out of that patriarchal norms, and so they are going for live-in relationships. Then next is patrilocal residency. So in India, when a couple is, when a man marriage is over, the bride has to go to husband's home. Okay, so this makes her position unequal with that of her partner. So this is one area where the women is lacking and they are opting for live-in relations. Then next is the gender inequality in domestic division of labor. Okay, so if in a house both partners are working, then the household chores and the child care is the sole duty of women. We have mentioned it as double burden. This we have dealt in earlier episodes also. So that is one reason. Then lack of agency over the reproduction, when to conceive or how many children to have. Actually, this is the right of women. A woman can decide upon how much children, at what age she want to conceive and how many children she needs. But this is not there in practical sense. So this is one reason. Then next is the legal and financial complications involved in splitting of the institutional marriages. See, if you see in India, in institutional marriages, the marriage rituals and most of the financial burden is borne by the bride's family. So this is also inequality. So people are opting for live-in relationship and obviously economic independence and financial security. Then many women are needing to base their career, live their life based on their career and aspirational. So they are considering this institutionalized marriage as a blockade in their aim. So that is one reason. Then globalization and westernization. So increased communication is there. Increased exposure to liberal ideas are becoming true. So this is actually deviating people from that conventional marriages. Okay. Then next is the relation of the marriage with caste and communal ties. Even now in 21st century, intercaste and interreligious marriages are a social sin in India. Okay, so here you can quote a case law also. Even this particular point you can use in GS2 governance also. So case laws, if you are using, that is also going to boost your answer. So in Kushbu versus Kanyamal case, Supreme Court it held that live-in relationships, it is coming under the purview of Article 21. See, I have already told you that Article 21 is having many dimensions. You were asked to look into all those dimensions so that you can use like this. Okay, so this is a direct case of living a life with dignity, the right of the individual. So this was the verdict of Supreme Court in this regard. Then next current affair is with respect to the creation of an all India services in health. So national health services. Okay, so in lines with IAS, IPS, etc., many health experts, they have been asking for the creation of the national health services, and the creation of an all India services requires the active participation of Rajya Sabha. This we have discussed in earlier lecture. So it is coming under Article 312. So if you are quoting articles like this in your answers also, then also it will be more attractive. Then next point is with the death due to COVID-19. So in COVID-19 we had many death. So here this has been opportunistically used by the social media. How they are exploiting this? Social media has been posting the content or the fake news of the children who are they have been posting many fake news. They are telling like those children who have lost their parents in COVID-19, they need care, so please contribute financially, etc. So we'll be contributing to them, and these children, they are getting prone to trafficking. They are trafficked. So this is opportunistic. So here you can use a word like pandemic orphans. Only due to pandemic they are becoming orphans. And here this is a term in connotation with COVID babies. The babies who are born during the COVID era, COVID babies, they will be having low psychological development because the maternal health was very low. Okay, so these two terms please keep in mind. Then next is with regard to health sector, there is a Rome Declaration on Health. This is related to G20 grouping and it is telling some points upon health. So we need health architecture. See, these all points everyone will write. So this is not such important, but this word itself is going to boost your marks. So apart from this point, please keep these keywords in mind while writing an answer. That is the need. So okay, so while preparing for mains, when you have to keep in words such keywords and whatever things, whatever other things, like these points everyone will be writing. We need a health architecture, then we need health in all policies. This already we have discussed in earlier lectures and everyone will be writing. But adding to that, if you are telling this is told by Rome Declaration, okay, so that is going to boost your mark. Okay, so this you can pause and see. So the all conventional points only. Okay, investing in health, then care workforce, etc., increasing effectiveness. Okay, so this is only the key takeaway from this. Then next is a term called urban social safety. Okay, so what is urban social safety? Although we are thinking that urban lifestyle, they are getting more services, actually they are not getting as such services. They are also facing problems. Like slums are there in urban. That is the worst phase of urban poverty. And here I have given a data point, like female migrant workers, they are having the nutritional deficiencies higher than their male counterparts, and they are having poor access to reproductive health services like contraceptives, etc. Okay, so here how can you link this stratified vulnerability? This concept also we have discussed in earlier lecture. Okay, so what do you mean by stratified vulnerability? There are multiple layers of vulnerability. This female worker is having vulnerabilities because she is a female and because she is a migrant. So that is stratified vulnerability. Okay, then next is 60% of women, they are not having access to toilet itself. So it is directly inflicting upon their menstrual hygiene also. Then the lack of political representation in the home state or host state. So they are facing issues due to minority rights violation and regionalism also, and they are often looked down as outsiders. So this point you can link with minority issues. Then next is the Global Forum Against Racism and Discrimination. So this is a forum, global forum to tackle the social discrimination. Then next term is the techno-racism. What is this? What is the meaning of this term? It is the use of new technologies and artificial intelligence in the security sphere. Okay, so as facial recognition programs can misidentify and target racialized communities. So we are getting this face appeals, etc. In digital mode, we are getting this techno-racism. So using these technologies like artificial intelligence for the sake of security, the biometrics are being taken. So here they are targeting the racialized communities, those who are black. Okay, so they are being targeted. So with the use of technology only they are using, with the artificial intelligence tools and all. So it is termed as techno-racism. Then another point, another mains booster will be using the quotes by important personalities. So here I have given an example about Mahatma Gandhi. He had told that anger and intolerance are the enemies of correct understanding. So this you can use in ethics also and in social welfare when you are talking about the inclusion issues, the inclusivity of the society, minority issues, etc. you can use. Then next is a data point, that is child marriage is more prevalent in rural areas, that is 48% than in urban areas. There it is 29% only. Then next is relating to the manual scavenging. Okay, there is a scheme called Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge. It is relating to elderly, it is relating to the mechanization, not elderly, sorry, it is relating to the mechanization of the sewer and septic tank cleaning. Okay, so it is recognizing the woes of manual scavenging. So it is telling we have to mechanize the septic tank cleaning operations. Okay, next is Nutrition Smart Village Initiative. So it is like aiding to the scheme of Poshan Abhiyan and it is ensuring the nutritional and food security. Then next point is the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, it has actually issued some draft guidelines for accessibility, for increasing the accessibility. So this is relating to disability, for those who are disabled. For that people, the ministry has given some guidelines, like in all the television channels they have to bring captions or sign language, so that it is equally accessible to the disabled people also, those who are having hearing disability, okay, or vision problems, etc. So while designing the channels, they have to keep in mind such aspects also. Then next is two keywords: criminalization of politics and politicization of criminals. This you can use interchangeably. So here I have given a data point. Currently we are having 43% parliamentarians with a criminal background. So the issue between this is from 2004 to 2019 we are seeing an increase of the criminal background MPs in Parliament. So in 2004 it was 24%, but now it is 43%. That is nearly 50%. Nearly half of our representatives are having criminal background. So it is detrimental to democracy. Then another thing is a case law, that is in Lily Thomas case. It is also relating to this. Here a charge sheeted. Here it was said that charge sheeted MLA and MP, those who are convicted, they should be immediately disqualified. That was the verdict given by the court in Lily Thomas case. Then another, I have given yet another point which is quote by an important personality. So this is Rajendra Prasad. He has talked like a constitution like a machine, it is a lifeless thing. So it is acquiring life through men who control and operate it. So this is one quote which you can use in answer writing. Then next is with relation to contempt of court. See, contempt of court has been increasing throughout recently. Okay, so recently also we have seen the case of Tamil Nadu case. So if you don't know this case, please go and refer. This is one important incident which happened recently with relation to the contempt of court. So when contempt of court, it is having many loopholes. So judiciary can use it in a bad manner to restrict the dignity and freedom of the public. See, constructive criticism, it can't be under the purview of contempt of court. So even this can be targeted through using the loopholes within this contempt of court clause. Okay, so that is a problem. Then Maternal Benefit Amendment Act, it was recently amended, and how you can link with governance. This is in lines with Article 42 or DPSP. In DPSP, Directive Principles, it is said that Article 42, human working conditions and maternal benefit, maternal relief should be given to the workers. So why this act is important means it is actually including the adopting mothers only, adopting mothers also. So we are going to the liberal mode of governance. Okay, so earlier biological mothers were not only included, so now adopting mothers are also included. So that is one good move. But what is the problem? In India, 90% of the women workers are unorganized, are working in the unorganized sector. So when 90% are working in unorganized sector, only 10% of Indian women are getting targeted by this act. So it is not inclusive. Okay. Then next is with respect to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It has actually brought in a protocol to strengthen cooperation in preventing the human trafficking. So this is relating to human trafficking. Whenever there is a question relating to right against exploitation, you can use this. Next is the data point given by a report by Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog is saying that health insurance for India's missing middle. So this is a report by Niti Aayog. In this report, it is told that at least 30% of the population, or bringing up to 40 crore individual, they are referred as the missing middle. So by missing middle, we mean that they are missed with respect to the health insurance. They are devoid of any financial protection for health. So this missing middle is also a keyword which you can use. Then with respect to the recent anti-trafficking bill. So here in anti-trafficking bill, the concerns is that only the general concerns are being considered in this bill, but there are sex workers, the voluntary sex workers, mainly the LGBTQ community and other voluntary sex workers are there. So that work need not to be treated as trafficking. If the trafficking is forced, okay, the forced sex working, so that amounts to trafficking, but the voluntary sex workers, it is not amounting to trafficking. That is not being adequately considered in this bill. So this is against the right to employment and right to livelihood, because this voluntary sex workers, they are living based on that work only. So denying them and labeling them as trafficking would be detrimental to their livelihood. Then next we will be discussing some keywords. These keywords, many keywords I have discussed in my previous lectures also, but whenever you are preparing any paper for mains, I will tell, like when you are preparing GS2, say GS2 you are preparing social justice. So relating to social justice, you can make a list of some keywords like this, and whenever you are writing answers, you include these keywords also. The benefit of using keywords is that it will help you save the time limit and it will give a standard to your answer. So first is horizontal and vertical mobility. By horizontal mobility, what we mean, like we can take a person A, he is working in a bank, say X, he is working in the bank X. So he is getting transferred to a better bank called bank Y. So this is a promotion. So this is like a horizontal mobility. Horizontally he is getting mobilized. Vertical mobility, what is vertical mobility? When a person is getting a vertical kind of thing, like social status is getting improved, okay, or caste or the social status or educational standards is getting improved, the livelihood standards is getting improved. So that is a upward movement. So that is vertical mobility. Okay, then next is the upward and downward mobility. Upward mobility means progressive change and downward mobility means repressive change. Then the concept of welfare state, relating to the welfare of the citizen. Governance, good governance should be linked with welfare state. Then stratified vulnerability we have discussed. Then whenever there is a discrimination with respect to any sphere, you can use this word exclusion. There is exclusion in social sphere due to patriarchy, casteism, etc. Then political sphere due to lack of political representation. Then digitally handicapped, those who are having digital illiteracy. Then climate refugees. Then comes the public trust deficit due to the bad government practices or the lack of transparency and accountability. Public is losing trust in deficit. So public trust is getting deficient. Then the son of soil principle, relating to regionalism. Then an approach called as systems approach. So systems approach we have dealt earlier also. This means that when many departments or many ministries are functioning in a coordinated manner, the system as a whole will be reformed. Then social cohesion. This is dealing with the unity and unity in the diverse state like India. So cohesion means it is all are together. So there should be a social cohesion. Then secular education. It is also becoming increasingly told nowadays. It is debatable because many experts are asking that in schools and educational institutions, the religious related prayers at the morning should be avoided because to establish a secular state. So that is the meaning of secular education. Then next is the demographic dividend. As we have told about demographic dividend, the younger population. Then consensus oriented governance. So this you can link with participative governance also. So the concerns of all the people are taken into concern in consensus oriented. Then vocal for local, the protection of the local industries, the protection of the local people, etc. Then communalism and transphobia. Transphobia, it is relating to the fear and hatred towards the transgenders. Then socialization patterns. This also we have discussed. Defective socialization, primary socialization, etc. Then rural urban divide. This happens in every sphere, be it health, education, infrastructure, etc. Then social capital. This also leads to the development of human capital like health, education standards, etc. Then fourth pillar of democracy. This is dealing with media. Okay, the role of media in acting as a watchdog of democracy. So it is actually acting as fourth pillar by scrutinizing the government policies and bringing it to the public. Then democratic ethos and moral obligation. Then bottom up approach. So this bottom up approach, it is actually pointing to the decentralized governance. So in the PRI level or in the panchayat level, there should be convergence of scheme, and this should be converged at the state level, that should be adequately converged in the national level. So this is how a decentralized model of government should work. Okay, now let's move on to the discussion of the practice question. So the question was, India's demographic profile and state of joblessness imparts severe vulnerabilities to younger population. Do you agree? Substantiate. So how can you give a perfect introduction? So it is, although India has a favorable demographic dividend, the unemployment rates are at 7%. So due to this, India's younger population, it is vulnerable, and it is evident in increasing suicides. So here also you are directly hitting the question, and what is the evidence itself you are giving. So due to you are substantiating this fact that unemployment is rendering the young population vulnerable, how it is leading to increasing suicides. So that is about the introduction. Then vulnerability of the unemployment, how they are vulnerable. So first kind of vulnerability is alienation from the family and society. When a person is unemployed, he'll be looked down by others. And here it is, here you can even quote World Happiness Index. Here India is performing worsely. Then next you can make an approach like a flowchart kind of thing, wherein you can bring in many points and save your word limit. So financial instability, it is actually leading to the social subordination and exclusion. Due to financial crunch, the person will be excluded. Then due to exclusion, decline in health outcomes, because the psychological and mental health will be getting affected, and the confidence level will go down, and obviously the person will be in a situation to take up any jobs. So lack of fair choice is there. So this will lead to disguised and low skilled jobs. Okay, so once into that cycle, the person can't improve his career also. So there is insecure tenure and wages. So this is again leading to the intergenerational downward mobility. Their children also will be moving into such a cycle only. So this vicious cycle will continue. It is again leading to financial instability. So like this, flowcharts can be used in your answer. Then next vulnerability is they are subjected to forced crimes, because they are unemployed. So they will be developing a violence culture, and they will be forced to forced crimes also, and it will result in brain drain also. Out of unemployment, there will be distress migration also. Then next is violation of citizens' right. Okay, Article 21. Again, Article 21 is coming. Here, right to live with dignity is being embraced, but there is no livelihood due to unemployment. Then next is poverty and hunger. It is a direct consequence of unemployment only. Then what are the steps taken by government? So PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. It is a scheme to develop the skills of the youth so that they can earn a good livelihood. Then MG Narega. It is one of the success scheme, and it is also giving unemployment allowance. Then improved access to education. See online education channels and other initiatives like Swayam. Then what is the way forward or suggestion? So cohesive and coordinated approach, that is systems approach with health and educational outcomes. So this health, education and the employment sector, this should be treated as one, and a coordinated approach must be there. Then quality over quantity. So more than focusing upon the number of the educational institutions, the focus should be increasing the quality and the competitiveness. Okay, so if we are increasing the quality, the competitiveness and the productivity of our available labor force will increase. So we can convert that labor force into our workforce. Then next is diversification of career and focusing upon the labor intensive sectors. In that way, we can absorb our workforce efficiently. Then next is the conclusion part. So in the conclusion part, we can tell like unemployment is it is a direct cause of social and political inefficiency. Okay, it is not only due to the social reasons, it is also due to the political reasons, and it is showing the inequitable opportunities. Not much people are able to come to the forefront and fight for the employment. So there is inequitability. So inequity. So a systems approach is needed to tackle the issue. So this was the final episode of social justice series. So I have covered all the aspects which I can, to the maximum I have covered. So I would recommend you to watch all the previous episode. This current affairs module you can use even if you are writing the exam in 2024, because I haven't included any report data kind of thing, because you have to upgrade it if I am using like that. But the keywords, terms, etc., which I have told here, it can be used at any time when you are attempting the exam. So thank you.